Welcome everyone. Have you ever made a KYDEX belt loop? Or maybe you just want to make a KYDEX belt loop? Well, follow along today as we teach you how to do this with the Diaz KYDEX belt loop jig.
All right, so the first thing we're going to do here before we even get the jig over is we're going to go ahead and measure out our KYDEX so that we can go ahead and cut it down. Now, how wide you make it will depend on exactly how wide you want the KYDEX belt loop that you're making. So in this case, we're going to make it 2 inches wide. That's perfectly sufficient for carrying something like a knife or anything like that. So, but if you have a desire to make it smaller, have a desire to make it larger, that is completely up to you. But 2 inches is a good size. Cut it down, so now we have our rectangle. So in this case, about 7 1/4 by 2. We'll take out our Diaz KYDEX belt loop jig here. Get that all ready. We're going to go ahead and heat our KYDEX. And just like if you're making a sheath or a holster, you still want that same temperature, somewhere between 3 and 350. If you're using 080, in this case we are using 080 KYDEX. If you're making a belt loop, you could also use 093 or even 125. This jig will work with all thicknesses. I do not recommend that you use 060 to make it. So now we're just going to lay this in our jig. We're going to wrap it around that bar. That bar is what's simulating the where your belt would go through. And we're just going to lay it down, and we're going to close our jig, and we're going to clamp it. And if this is the first one you're doing, this is going to cool fairly quick. Because our aluminum is a lot cooler, so it'll cool that down fairly quickly. When we take it out, we can slide the bar out of it. And as you can see, this gives us a nice rounded edge at the top and a nice little step down at the bottom. And now we're just going to mark it to put our holes in it for our eyelets. Let's head on over here to our drill press and we'll drill our holes. Watch your fingers. This is a smaller piece than what you're normally working with, maybe if you're making a sheath or a holster, so make sure you don't catch your finger with that drill bit. And of course, as always, use proper protective equipment, hearing and eye protection. We're going to go over and get our press lined up with our Master Series dies. Set our eyelet on it and roll it. This doesn't require a lot of pressure. You'll feel if you apply a steady, smooth pressure, you'll feel almost, I call it a pop when it starts to roll, and then you'll feel when that roll gets down and hits the plastic. If you go too fast, you won't feel that, and you'll just flatten it out. So you want to go kind of slow on it. Now we're just going to head over and smooth out the bottom of our loop here. Get our both sides of our KYDEX nice and even. and then rounding the edges just makes it a little bit more comfortable. That way you don't have any sharp points poking at you. And now we're just going to go over and same thing as you would normally do with anything else. Again, even though it's just a belt loop, take the time to make it the same quality as you would the sheath or the holster. Give it a professional finish. So what we're doing here is we're just deburring it, and then we will polish it up. And once you've done all that, since this is open pretty much all the way through, you can just dip in a little bit of water to clean it out and dry it out, run a rag through there or something like that. This Diaz KYDEX belt loop jig certainly makes easy work of making belt loops. And as you can see with the width of it, had we wanted to, we could have made two at a time as well. So you'd heat them both at the same time, you just put them both in there at the same time, and it wouldn't be a problem at all.
All right, well, certainly hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, please take the time to click like and leave any comments. Also, if you need to pick up this belt loop jig for yourself, you can get the Diaz KYDEX belt loop jig on Holstersmith by clicking this link right here. And if you did enjoy this video and want to see more exciting new content, be sure and click subscribe. See you soon.